Hola! These are words from David Icke. First of all, among those who have seen it and can see it, we have to move from seeing it to ceasing to cooperate with it. People say that knowledge is power. It is not. The use of knowledge is power. Knowledge unused is knowledge not worth having. Hola, from Colombia. With the present great world confusion, I wish to do my part to accelerate the evolution of human consciousness. Please help by subscribing and sharing these videos. Thank you. Nearly all of what I do now is focused on encouraging the awakened not to concede, not to submit. People say, look, we've done our best, but I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do the other unless I do what they say. The point that I would strongly make to the people is that the consequences of submission are infinitely more sinister and nightmarish than the consequences of ceasing to cooperate and refuse to submit. I've been doing this now for 31 years, and you go through all the names and dates and places and information. It's absolutely vital that people know that I still do that. I've gone through many other areas of this whole conspiracy, but the more that I have looked at it, the more it breaks down into a very simple situation. And basically it's a tussle. Well, it's more than a tussle between two basic states of consciousness. Obviously, there's differences between them, and there's different mixtures between them. But basically, it's two states of consciousness. I started scanning the ancient world, and you see an amazing common theme, and that is a state of consciousness manifesting, personified in groups, sects, secret societies, individuals, etc., that is seeking to manipulate and enslave humanity from the shadows. If they can pull the population into those low states of being, of perception, through not least fear, which is its greatest weapon, they can attach, connect frequency-wise to the population, and then they can feed the perception that people have. They can, for instance, shut off the critical thinking process. Not only do they not care how they treat people, they get off on it. They get off on it because of who they are. Psychopaths get off and get enjoyment from control of other people. The more that other people suffer and fear them, the more they get off on it. So I talked about these people at the Trafalgar Square speech that I made at the end of July. I'm openly calling these people demons because that's what they are. You know they're beyond psychopaths. They are demons in the biblical sense of demons. So now we're looking at the mainstream media. I've worked in the media, and we know the media lies and it distorts, but I've never seen a global scale of coordinated script reading, distorting, and lies that have come from the global media that I've had in the last 2 years. The global cult is like a spider web. Each strand of the spider is either an exclusive secret society in the shadows next to the spider, and then you come out into the mainstream of society. And it's this web which has a central dictating mission control. The mission control is the undermining, coordinating force between all these apparent on the surface of it, completely unconnected organizations, people, businesses, etc. So the banking system appears not to be connected to Silicon Valley, but if you go into the web level, they're fundamentally controlled by the web. Therefore, the same people, the people in the shadows, are calling the shots. But if we go to the global media, we're related to this with Tico. What is that? What is the global media doing? It's lying by the hour, actually by the minute, to advance the agenda of the psychopaths. The psychopaths that are with Tico. What is another trait of psychopaths? It is what I said earlier, the ability to lie as much and as outrageously as necessary to get what you want. The whole global media has been with T-code. There is no sense of decency and genuineness about the global media. They are literally just clones that are turning out a narrative that most of them, not all of them, because there are some real thick people in the media, as you well know, most of them know that they're lying. And then, just to finish this point of Utico, you come down to the general population and people who have awakened, I say awakened from Wetiko, the Wetiko comma, they are putting their hands on their head and they are saying, why can't these people see it? Look, look at the evidence. But they just can't see it. If you firewall a computer, it's not going to see parts of the internet because it's not going to process that information. And so we're seeing this clear and obvious division between those that I say are with T-code attached, who simply have lost, if they ever had it, the ability to process information into a conclusion. What the awakened person does is they take the information and they process that information into a conclusion, which is unique to them. What the unconscious do is they take the information, but the information becomes an opinion. So they are not processing the information into a conclusion. The information becomes their opinion. These people are so programmed, so manipulated in their perceptual state, so isolated in the five senses that they are not going to see it until they expand their awareness beyond the five senses, and all the pressure around us is not to do that. So what happens is when you start to open your mind and let consciousness in, more expanding consciousness, not someone in a spaceship, your own consciousness, which the five sense bubble is shutting out, then you start to see reality. The unconscious see the world as everything apart from everything else. That's how they decode reality. The five senses alone are never going to connect the dots. They're only going to see the dots. They're not going to see patterns and pictures and how everything fits together. It's expanded consciousness beyond the five senses that does that. Therefore, if you can keep people in the five senses, they will see a world of random events and random happenings. They will be completely confused. They won't be able to understand anything that is going on. Their guide to what's going on will be the official pronouncement from the government. What does awakening mean? It means you awaken from the five senses, and at that point, you start to see pictures and patterns and connections and not just unconnected random dots. However, with that gift of seeing comes responsibility. Simple question. Who's going to push back on this? Who's going to bring it down? Who's going to stop it from happening? The psychopaths aren't. They're making it happen. The government administration people who've been through a massive, decades-long reframing mind programming, so they will be the unquestioning yes sir, no sir administrators of the psychopathic agenda. And the people who are fast asleep and attacking everyone who's not, they're not going to do it. Think about it. What is this AI? This connecting AI to the human brain and the body. It's taking over the human perceptual processes so that they are forever enslaved in the five senses. So there is no connection to greater consciousness. You completely isolate them using AI. This is the end game. Like I said all along, it's been the foundation of the conspiracy, isolating the five senses from expanded states of awareness. And AI is going to give you the end game. First of all, the next 2 to 3 years are going to be brutal. They're going to throw everything at us, and they're going to use the asleep to do it. This is why nearly all of what I do now is focused on encouraging the awakened not to concede, not to submit. Once again, the point I make to people is that the consequences of submission are infinitely more sinister and nightmarish than the consequences of ceasing to cooperate and refusing to submit. We are in the midst of this pivotal time where the old world is still apparent as the new divine matter grows within our very bodies. The time has come for the next step of human destiny, the new Idesic species. Will you choose to align yourself with the divine plan or the demonic plan? Due to my peaceful non-cooperation, I went to prison. I describe my prison experience in my book, True Freedom is Inside of Me. Please visit my bilingual website. The only solution is very simple. I must connect to my true self, my soul. Easy to say, not so easy to do. Please go into action now and make the choice between listening to your ego-mendacious mind and the external authorities, or listening to your soul, the internal authority. I consult and offer tools so that you can find your individual solution by making contact with your soul. Your soul will then effectively guide you through the upcoming, long-lasting, turbulent transition. Infinite love.